This is the Sixth Man Show, an Orlando Magic podcast, with your hosts, Luke Sylvia and Jonathan Osborne, covering all things Magic basketball. By fans, for fans. Go Magic! What's going on, Orlando Magic fans? You guys are back with the Sixth Man Show. Today is actually January 4th, 2024. Luke, usually I have to look at the date of when we're recording, like, oh, no, it's the next day. Like, no, like, we're recording this today at 1:40 a.m. After the Magic's double overtime loss. They fell 138 to 135 in Sacramento to the Kings. Legitimately one of the craziest, most entertaining Magic games I can ever remember watching, Luke. You got everything in this one but the result. How are you doing at almost 2 a.m. here?
Paolo Banchero, dog. Jalen Suggs, dog. Trevelyan Queen, dog. Anthony Black, dog. Caleb Houston, dog. They're all dogs.
Chuma Okeke, dog.
Chuma Okeke, couldn't forget him, dog. This is probably will stand throughout the whole season, but this is the loss I'm most okay with this season and happiest with, and actually had a fun time watching.
I wouldn't say I'm not happy with the loss. Well, I don't know that we would use that adjective, but everything else.
I have a friend who's a Kings fan, and he texted me after the game and said, that game sucked. And I said, maybe the one scenario where the losing team's fans had a lot more fun than the winning team's fans might be one of the first times that that's happened. Just down to your G League players playing guys like Trevelyan Queen. 38 minutes is where he ended up, the third most on the team. And you go to double overtime with the Sacramento Kings, who are a great basketball team. Can't do anything about those injuries. Just had to sit, watch, and be entertained, and I think we all were.
Usually after a game, especially like on a night that we're set to record, we spend a good amount of time prepping, right? Getting everything ready, going over the show, like outlining everything, like, hey, this is how it's going to go. It's almost 2 a.m. Luke and I were like, hey, we're just going to press the button and go tonight. Mm-hmm. So please forgive us. This is like a little bit like disjointed of a show, but like when Paolo was taking that three, to potentially send this game to triple overtime, I was just in my mind like, this game is never going to end. This game was 3 hours long, maybe even more than that. So a couple of things before we get into talking more about this game. Sixth Fan Show, next edition of that is going to be Friday, the 9th, when the Magic face off, or not Friday, Tuesday the 9th. You can tell it's getting late over here. Tuesday the 9th, when the Magic take on the Minnesota Timberwolves at home. We do have our next watch party, which is going to be next Friday, the 12th, when the Magic take on the Miami Heat. We're going to be at Hagan O'Reilly's in Winter Garden. Let me go ahead and pull up the address for that once again. That's 16112 Marsh Road, Winter Garden, Florida. That game is set to tip off at 8 o'clock, so the watch party will get started about 7:30. So be sure that you come out for that. This is not going to be the typical show. I know that the Magic lost to Golden State last night on Tuesday, their first night of the the back-to-back here. We're not going to spend a ton of time talking about that game. The Magic lost 121 to 115, and in large part just due to turning the basketball over. Like, that's really what it came down to. 17 turnovers for the Magic in that one. It was very similar to the loss to Phoenix on Sunday on New Year's Eve. So if you remember us talking about that game, just like go back, listen to that, swap out the names like Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal for like Klay Thompson and Steph Curry, except Steph Curry and Klay Thompson were like really killing us down the stretch of that Warriors game, but the Magic, they lost in that one. Luke, let's just talk about this Sacramento Kings game. People, I can't imagine anyone is staying up to listen to this. Like, even our normal people who listen to these pods, like as soon as they drop, even they're going to sleep tonight and getting
Yeah.
a little bit of rest before waking up and listening to the pod or watching the pod on YouTube. But like this is all anybody is going to be thinking about and talking about tomorrow. So let's talk about the injuries first. Obviously, still no Markelle Fultz. Jonathan Isaac, Joe Ingles were ruled out like last night as soon as the Warriors game ended. Cole Anthony was ruled out like right before the game with a quad contusion. And as you know, we're already, Markelle Fultz. So you're already down like 4 or 5 guys like before we even got to tip off in this one. And then 5 minutes into the game, Franz Wagner, who started the game really strong, turned his right ankle like pretty badly. And usually like Franz is the kind of guy like he goes down with an injury like that, laces them up or goes back to the locker room, gets taped up, comes back out and is ready to go. He couldn't even like really walk like by himself. He had to be assisted back to the locker room. Franz did not come back, right? And we're just like, man, like Trevelin Queen started this game, by the way, alongside Gary Harris. Gary Harris started this game in place of Anthony Black. Anthony Black came off the bench.
No, Trevelin didn't start.
Trevelin didn't start. Why did I? Who started?
He played
that?
a lot of minutes, but
Was it Caleb that started?
No, it was Suggs, Gary, Goga, Franz, Paolo.
Okay, yeah, that was like 8 hours ago.
A long time ago.
They started that game, so I forgot that admittedly. But then Gary Harris doesn't come out of the locker room at halftime. There's no official word yet, and then he gets ruled out with the calf strain, which it seems like he's now re-aggravated. So the Magic shot 75% from 3 in the first half, Luke, and we're still down 12 at the half. That really sums up the first half. Like, it was just like really crappy. You lose Franz. Paolo was really doing everything that he could possibly do. He was playing really well, but you're still down at the half. And we have like 4 other quarters technically to still talk about. But where this game really seemed like it was taking a turn for the worst was with where is I'm just going through the play by here, folks. So please forgive us in this one. So yeah, it's with 9:17. Domantas Sabonis is at the free throw line, misses a free throw. As Paolo is going for the rebound, he steps on Keegan Murray's foot and turns his ankle and just starts screaming, like cursing, like you could hear it on the broadcast. The Magic go, down on the defensive end. They come back the other way. Timeout. They get Paolo Banchero out of the game. He's going to the locker room, and now we're like, there's no way that we lost Franz Wagner and Paolo Banchero in this same game. Second night of a back-to-back. We've already got all these guys out, and now we've lost our 2 best players. I think, Luke, you texted in the group chat, like, this is the game from hell.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it seemed.
Yeah. Yeah, the night entirely, actually. Yeah, Paolo going down. At that point, you're like, well, this game's officially over. Like, obviously. And it already felt over when he got injured. I think we were, probably down like 10 or something like that. I'm not looking at the
We were
box right now,
down 12 when he comes out of the game.
So yeah, because I remember thinking like he goes out of the game and I was like, I already thought this game was probably over. And it already had the feeling of like Paolo's going to have to drop 60 for us to have a chance in this. Little did I know he'd come back into the game and give us the performance of a lifetime. I love that kid.
Yeah, so Paolo goes out again. The Magic are down 76 to 64. He's out of the game for a few minutes. He checks back in at the 7:20 mark. The Magic were down 13, 79 to 66. And at this point, it's Chuma wasn't in the Chuma subbed out at this point. So Jalen's in the game, Caleb's in the game, Trevelin Queen, Paolo, and I forget who it was. Wendell was in the game. Like a minute goes by, Chuma subs in for Trevelin Queen, and that's like really where everything like just takes off for the Magic. I'm trying to go
what
back
a crazy
through
statement.
What did I say?
No, just like crazy that's the conversation we're having. When Chuma Okeke stepped in for Trevelin Queen,
dude,
that's where this game got interesting, and we found one of the first sparks of the game.
I'm trying to go back through. It was the third quarter when Chuma got it going, wasn't it? I guess it was the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I mean that was
Chuma when Chuma was going. Yeah, these
yeah,
are all of Chuma's threes. Okay, we're actually going to go to the fourth quarter here. Magic are down 4. They're down 93-89. Chuma hits a 3 with 10 minutes 2 seconds to go. Make it 92-96. Couple possessions go by. Chuma comes back down again, hits another 3, make it 96-95. Let's see. A Malik Monk miss. Chuma comes back down, hits another 3 to make it 98-96. And then a couple of possessions later, he hits another 21-footer to make it 100-96. This is all without Paolo Banchero. Paolo Banchero is going crazy in the third quarter to make this a close game. And he comes out, and Jeff Turner was talking about this on the broadcast. He's like, when do you get Paolo a rest? Tomorrow. It's like, because you're not going to get it tonight. And maybe you can buy a minute or two at the beginning of the fourth before you have to bring Paolo back in. And Chuma Okeke made it so that Paolo seemingly almost got like, I don't know, a good 15 to 20 minutes of sitting on the bench before he had to check back into this game. And Chuma Okeke going crazy in that fourth quarter. Magic had a 7-point lead with 6 minutes, 39 seconds to go on the Trevelyan Queen steal and dunk. And Luke, I was feeling like really, really confident at that point. But this game was so crazy. Like Malik Monk, another guy that had perhaps the game of his life, 37 points, 60% from the field, 53% from the 3-point line, from behind the arc, and added 9 assists. Like every time the Magic made a run or somebody made a big shot, Malik Monk was answering time and time again. And at the end of the game, it was sort of De'Aaron Fox. But can we just talk about like that Chuma Okeke stretch? And like, because the game just felt like it was over, man. Like it just felt like you had no shot.
Dante had the line of the night. He said something to the effect of, "When's the last time you said to get Okeke the ball?" And I was like listening to it, and I was like, "Did you just say that? He just said that."
Like March of 2021.
Literally. Yeah. And man, it felt like for a second we were transported back a couple years when we were holding our Chuma. Now at the time, formerly Okiki, the Chuma Okiki stock at that time.
And rookie cards.
We were buying into the baby Kawhi and that he was clamping down on defense and knocking down shots. We always knew he could be those things, but I didn't think that it would happen and come into fruition tonight, January 4th of 2024, especially after the last couple seasons. Just one of those games. When we did go to overtime, that's when I was like, logic says we lose this game, but destiny says, and Chuma Okeke says we win this game. Because just what's the point? Like, what's the point of the game if Chuma is going to have a performance and you lose? They can't happen. It won't happen. And then obviously we can talk about the overtimes, but like one thing after the other kept happening, and I just got to the point where I got irrationally confident, and I was like, we're not losing. We can't lose. We've done all this. So obviously the Magic ended up losing this one, but it was the second half was just a crazy roller coaster of emotions.
I don't know that I've ever reached the depths of despair and the euphoria, like the peak of euphoria, all in one NBA game where like circumstances didn't really change that much, right? Like apart from like Paolo going out and you think like the world literally felt like it was ending, and then Paolo Banchero like checks back into the game and you're like, okay, this guy is incredible. Like, thank God we didn't also lose Paolo tonight. Yeah. But when I tell you, like, I was out of my body Chuma knocking down shot after shot after shot, and not only like keeping us in the game, but like giving us the lead. And then like Trevelyan Queen is making plays and fast break dunks and like going like the other end. Like I literally was delirious. I tweeted that out. Like I don't ever post a video in the middle of a game, but I couldn't help myself because I'm like, we've never seen anything like this. We will probably never see anything like this ever again. For those that weren't watching the games, or like maybe like with the losing recently, you've been sort of checked out. Think back to like the Chasen Randall, Jordan Bone, Ignis Brazdeikis. I forget how to say his name. We haven't had to worry about that guy in so long now.
You forget, but we were the Ignis Brazdeikis show. So,
well, like that's how this game was trending towards feeling when Caleb and Chuma and Trevelyan Queen are all on the floor together. We're like, what is happening? This is not ever supposed to happen. And then Chuma's just like, nah, I'm about to go so deep in my bag right now.
It was so funny. I'm trying to find it, but let's see. Yeah, so the Magic, so Chuma hits the 3, puts you up 4. Sabonis loose ball turnover, Magic timeout. And during that timeout, it goes to commercial, and I kid you not, I'm in my living room and all the lights are out, the TV is on, and I am just like legitimately just laying back on my couch, just giggling. I was just like laughing, like I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop smiling. I felt like an absolute lunatic. and I was just like, what is going on? Like, absolutely euphoric and so funny. And I will never, ever forget that stretch from Chuma Okeke that quite literally made us all have out-of-body experiences.
Like, even Jeff and Dante on the broadcast, like, Chuma's hitting threes and Jeff is like cackling.
Yeah.
Like
Jeff
he
gives the
probably
craziest
like you were
papaya ever.
Yeah, like you probably were laying back on your couch. Nobody could believe what was happening in this game. Like it didn't make any sense whatsoever. And the high of that, again, lasted long enough for Paolo Banchero to check back into this game. So Paolo checks back in at what mark here? I want to say it was around like the 6-minute mark. Yeah, Paolo, Jalen, Anthony Black check back in at the 6:17 mark. The Magic are up 103-100. Paolo hits a 3 to make it 106-105 Magic. Jalen Suggs hits a 3 to make it 109-105. Malik Monk has a crazy reverse layup to make it a 2-point game again. He's got a free throw to make it a 1-point game. He gets fouled again the next possession, gives the Kings a 1-point lead. Paolo Banchero makes 2 free throws to give the Magic a 1-point lead with 4 minutes left. Like this was literally like Domantas Sabonis, Malik Monk, and Paolo Banchero just going back and forth. I think after Jalen Suggs hits that 3 with 4:50 to go to give the Magic a 4-point lead, Paolo Banchero in the fourth quarter, the first overtime, and in the second overtime, Paolo Banchero has 18 straight points for the Magic. Like, I'm not saying this was the same thing, but it was shades of like LeBron James, what was it, like 25 straight points against the Pistons back in the day? Like, it was vibes of that. It was literally play after play after play of like, hey, just give Paolo Banchero the basketball and he's going to go to work. He had this, I think it was the 19-foot pull-up jump shot here with 2:38 to go, where he drives on Sabonis and just stops on a dime and from the right elbow drains it to give the Magic a 1-point lead. Sabonis then has an and one to give the Kings a 2-point lead, and then has another free throw a couple of possessions later. He splits the free throw. That was like that stretch at the end of the regulation where it just seemed like it took them forever to figure out whether or not Domantas Sabonis made the shot when he was fouled. And he's sitting at the free throw line for like a minute and a half and then splits those. There's a couple of occurrences of that really quickly. I forgot to mention this at the top of the show here. The officiating crew tonight of Sean Wright, Michael Smith, and Claire Aubrey legitimately, impressively, one of the worst officiating performances of all time. Like, sure, they messed up the Paolo like out of bounds call at the end of the game, but they missed the blatant Domantas Sabonis like offensive foul on Trevelin Queen setting the pick at the end of the first overtime. I believe that was the Paolo Banchero like charge call at the end of the first overtime. Like, just completely ridiculous. Paolo Banchero had 14 free throws tonight. Should have probably had 20 plus. The Magic's average on the year, I think, is like 25, 26. They shoot 27 tonight. Just really crappy like officiating just across the board from that crew. But so Sabonis splits a couple of free throws. Paolo has a layup to make it a 1-point game with 48 seconds left. Then hits a three with 16 seconds left to give the Magic a 2-point lead. And that's when I felt like there's no way that the Magic are going to lose this game. Then Malik Monk has crazy driving layup, make it all tied up with 1:18 to go. And then Jalen Suggs at the end of regulation, there's like 10 seconds left. They try to inbound the ball to Paolo. He gets denied. It goes to Jalen. It looks like, forget who his primary defender was, but like Lyles was like coming to trap. It looks like Jalen sort of like looked at the corner of his eye for a split second to see if Paolo was going to make a cut or try to come to the ball. But at that point, it seemed like Paolo was probably just gassed and like surrendered. Like, hey, it's a tie game. If Jalen makes this, we win. If he misses, we're going to overtime, and I just need a breather. But Suggs throws up the three. It's no good. And then we're headed to the first overtime. And that's when I felt like, okay, like now this is where our luck is going to run out, Luke.
Real quick, I will interject here to say that our good buddy Fazan, one of our writers and on Twitter, sent me a tweet of his. It says Orlando Magic center Wendell Carter Jr. has a sore right knee injury per Jamal Mosley. So obviously Wendell didn't play to my recollection, and obviously the overtimes he checked out with like a minute left for strategic reasons, for what I think was strategic reasons. In the fourth quarter, Anthony Black checked in, but apparently he has a sore right knee. So you've got a game here in however long, less than 48 hours. You would hope that you can just be as healthy as possible, but who knows? I'm nervous for that.
Yeah, that's not super promising. So going back to the first overtime, Paolo Banchero hits a three with 3:54 to go in the first overtime to give the Magic a 121 to 118 lead. And that's where I was like, okay, like this is where we create space, get a couple of stops, get a couple of baskets, and you're going to win this game. And then the ensuing possession, Harrison Barnes hits like a crazy running, banking 3-point shot as the shot clock expires. And that's when I'm like, okay, this game is just full on, completely drunk. We're just going to continue to go back and forth. Like the shot making in this game, they talked about it a million times on the broadcast, but it was truly special. I don't know that I've ever seen a game like this where like every time somebody needed to knock down a big shot, whether it was Domantas Sabonis or Harrison Barnes or Malik Monk or Keegan Murray as well, or it was Jalen Suggs or Paolo Banchero or Chuma Okeke, it was just shot after shot after shot. Again, that Harrison Barnes three ties up the game. Domantas Sabonis, maybe this was the instance where they froze for whatever, because this probably is because this is where he missed the first free throw, made the second to give them a 1-point lead. Let's see what happens next here. Paolo Banchero has another step back with 43 seconds to go to give the Magic a 1-point lead. Malik Monk has another layup to give them a 1-point lead. Paolo Banchero gets fouled, makes both free throws, gives us a 1-point lead. Sabonis has a cutting dunk. I believe that was the Trevelin Queen screen. Sabonis sets the screen on Queen, leans his shoulder like square into Trevelin Queen's face. Queen had to go back to the locker room to get like butterfly stitches, it looked like. It should have been an offensive foul. It should have been the Magic's ball with about 17 seconds to go, up one, where the Kings would have been forced to, foul, but that did not happen. And then teams sort of go back and forth. The ball goes out of bounds off of Paolo Banchero, but they called it out on the Kings, and it's like, okay, well, this game probably should be over, but because of the offensive foul that didn't get called a moment ago, I wasn't really upset about it. And then the Magic have the ball, like sideline out of bounds, like 8 seconds left, and it's like, here we go again. Like, there's no way like Paolo's going to make another play, is he? And then sure enough, he does, like, just like sneaks his way like right underneath the basket. We get the inbounds to him and he lays it in with 1 second left. And then it was, yeah, Monk misses the three at the buzzer. And then we go to the third or the second overtime. Just absolutely crazy game. Jalen Suggs hits the three to start the second overtime. And again, I feel like, okay, here we go. We're going to, create some space here. Couple possessions later, Malik Monk ties it up 130 all. Paolo Banchero, a couple possessions later, makes it 132 to 130. De'Aaron Fox ties it up 132 all. Jalen Suggs hits a three with 2:10 to go to break and set the Magic like all-time single game 3-point record. 25 threes for the Magic tonight. Give them a 3-point lead. Keegan Murray hits a three on the other end. And to me, this is the possession where the game ends. 1:11 to go left in the second overtime. Goga Batadze, I still cannot believe takes that corner three. I would have to go back. I don't think, like, there was plenty of time on the shot clock because any shot at that point was better than that Goga Batadze three. I think he's taken like 5 threes this year. And for that to be one of them, I will never, ever, ever understand that. And I'll never get that for the rest of my life. And then De'Aaron Fox, tough turnaround, gives the Kings a 2-point lead. And then that was pretty much all she wrote. We had to foul the rest of the way, and the Magic lose 135 to 138. I just don't want like this Paolo Banchero 43-point, 4 rebound, 5 assist performance to be forgotten, because yes, it came in a loss up there with the great Orlando Magic performances of all time.
I've just never been prouder of a loss. It was a game I'll never forget. Paolo Banchero, I loved seeing him do this without being able to lean on really anybody. The only other person he could really lean on in this one that, you would think that he could was Jalen Suggs. And Jalen Suggs was, he hits that three at the start of the double OT, and I think that's when that officially stopped Paolo's 18 consecutive or whatever it was, I want to say. This is also one of those games where, like, people might say, if Franz stayed healthy in this and stayed in this game, the Magic win this game. Or if this team was healthy, we win this game. But I don't know that that's true because of the nature of how you won this game. You won it with a crazy, stupid 3-point shooting performance. You shoot almost 60% from three, and you shoot like 14 more threes. You attempt 14 more, 15 more than you normally do. Shot 44 of them tonight. Like, this wasn't a rational game. This isn't something where you can say, like, if we were healthy, we win this game. It just would have been a completely different game flow. You have no idea, right? Like, you don't know. And I think that's why I love it so much, just because it's such a mystery. Like, the Magic, Jonathan, 24 points in the paint tonight.
In a game where they score 135.
Yeah. The Magic are, I believe, second in the league, unless it's changed now because of how low this was tonight. I believe they were second or at least top 3 in the league in points in the paint. This was just a totally different team. It had to be. You were playing some G Leaguers. You were playing guys like Chuma Okeke who never get run. Crazy, crazy game, and something that happened that would never, wouldn't likely happen if healthy. The Magic, 39 rebounds to Sacramento's 58. Sacramento with 18 offensive boards. Right?
Killer.
Like, that was the killer. The Kings at halftime, I believe, had 8 more shot attempts than us. It's bad if at the end of the game the other team has 8 more shot attempts than you. They finished the game with 105 field goals to the Magic's 90. Magic have shot more than 90
attempts.
Yeah, attempts. The Magic have shot more than 90 attempts in regulation. They're just, it is what it is with the guys, the personnel that was playing. You're going to turn the ball over a lot. Paolo had a lot of turnovers tonight, but it's because his usage was through the roof. So, man, I just, kudos to the guys that stepped up, because this one will be one that we never forget.
Before we talk about the rest of this game and talk about some of the other guys, let's talk about our patrons, and then we'll talk about some chicken after that. What do you say?
Yeah, let's do it.
If you're listening to this, hopefully this is up by like 4 a.m. If you're listening to this at 4 a.m., first of all, God bless, because that means you probably watched the entirety of this game as well. And I've never been happier that I took a 2-hour nap before this game started. But if you're listening to this game, I just want you to know, or listening to this podcast, I want you to know that is brought to you by our wonderful patrons, the folks that help financially support the show and allow us to do everything that we do here. Like, they literally keep the lights on. They allow us to pay for resources that we use, like the recording software that we're using right now, and all the stat stuff that we use, and allow us to do giveaways and all that kind of stuff. Like, we did our 6 days of Christmas. None of that's possible without our patrons. Our mission here at the Six Man Show is to grow the Magic fan base and help make Magic fans as knowledgeable as possible. And the more support that we have, the better job we can do at doing that. So if you're a fan of the show, you're a fan of what we do, you're a fan of the events and the watch parties and anything like that, I would just ask that you consider joining our Patreon. You can find us at patreon.com/the Six Man Show. We have a number of different tiers, with benefits. We give away free t-shirts. We have access to our Discord channel. We do monthly Zooms with our Hall of Fame and Elite Tier patrons. Our Elite Tier patrons, they get up to 35% off Orlando Magic regular season home games. So we have a lot of benefits to offer at different levels, whatever you're most comfortable with. Again, you can find us at patreon.com/the Six Man Show. Anytime we have brand new patrons, we give them a special shout out. And we give a special shout out to our Hall of Fame and Elite Tier patrons every single episode, which I'm going to start now with the Court Cousins, and then best friend of the program, Drew Gooden, Armin, Carson Tulo, Jonathan Borges, normal Magic player history, Gabe Gaines, Wiffle, Michael Martin, Jamel Miller, Michael Salapong, Donkey Punch Dave, Paolo and Francis Warmth, Pierre A., Dylan Holden, Mr. Mikey, Eduardo Sanchez, Danimal, Dodo 15, Bobby Skinner, Goody 93, Teddy Sylvia, Eric Lopez, Fuchsia, Bill Fulton, Edmund Lagone, Jose Esquilin, Caleb Pete, Cannibalism, Time, Mr. TV, ESPN Really Sucks, Gear 95, Shred, Junior Bruce, Half Rican, Shahin 177, Bulby the Dawn, Himlo, Ben Himro, RM Prop 221, Magic Kid 714, Spanking Season, Soft Taco, Victor Cologne, Irish Magic Mike, Austin Lampy, Random Hustle, Eddie House's Burner, Maria, Keith Wallace, Fritz, Currency Kev, Bruv Sal, Kason Green, Santi Leon, Kane Eckler, The Distract, Ahmad Timsah, Chansu, and Tom Gadsden. Again, if you would like to join our Patreon and help support the show, you can find us at patreon.com/the Six Man Show.
Jonathan, the only thing hotter than Paolo Banchero tonight against the Sacramento Kings is that juicy, juicy chicken over at Jam Hot Chicken. Jam Hot Chicken is bringing Jam's culture and hot chicken to the heart of Winter Park, as many of you guys might already know. And they're located at 400 West New England Avenue, Suite 13 in Hannibal Square. You can check them out at jamhotchickenfl.com. Access their menu, online ordering to order ahead, music playlist, all things Jam Hot. Go check them out. Tell them we sent you. Make it your spot before Magic games. That's what I've done. That's what Jonathan has done. That's what producer Kevin has done. And it's one of my favorite parts about going to Orlando now, is knowing like I'm going to leave an hour earlier. There's nothing you can do to stop me because I'm getting my hands on some Jam Hot Chicken.
It truly is, man. Like it's legitimately the best. We have a watch party next Friday. We talked about it earlier in the show, but you and I are sort of like, well, for you, it's a little bit because you're like north of Orlando, but like a little bit west. So like West Orlando, because the way you take like the turnpike, it's easier to get to West Orlando. I'm like straight west of Orlando, so I take the turnpike the whole way over. So our last watch party that was like East Orlando, we were like, man, this is a bit of a hike. This next one, we're like, oh, this is West Orlando. Like it's in Winter Garden. This is kind of nice. I'm still debating driving into the heart of Winter Park, getting some jam hot before I head to the watch party. We'll see if my schedule permits that, but I would love nothing more than to be able to do that.
Yeah.
All right, back to this game. Like so many guys, obviously like Jalen, Paolo, Caleb Houston, Chuma were like the big stories in this game, but Trevelin Queen, 38 minutes, only had 5 points, but 6 assists, 2 rebounds, 2 massive steals, a big block. Like one of the biggest plays of the game was Trevelin Queen's block at the rim. Can't remember who it was on, but it was like right in the middle of like the big run. Trevelin Queen like stepping in, like giving the Magic like decent point guard play tonight is not something that I really anticipated out of him. And the defense like of him on Malik Monk, like Malik Monk got his tonight, but Trevelin Queen like made it like his, maybe not every possession because Malik did get some good looks, but Trevelin played his behind off defensively tonight, like made really, really big plays. And the Magic wouldn't have been in this game without him, frankly.
Trevelin Queen is a former G League MVP. And there was points tonight, such as that block, where I was like, oh, I see. I bet this guy is disgusting in the G League. Like there's definitely a talent gap between the G League and the NBA. It's why it exists. But you could see it tonight. Like, yes, Trevelin Queen had, I mean, he didn't even have in 38 minutes, didn't even have a turnover. He had 6 assists. Just like doing the right thing, right? Fouls. He had 5 fouls, but he's guarding the guy that's going nuclear in this game. So you can't really fault him for it. But he wasn't, at some point, I think producer Kevin said something to the effect of, at least not yet, Trevelin Queen isn't a negative in this game. And quite literally, he was a +1, which is tough to do in a loss when you play 38 minutes. So just truly impacting the game, and definitely deserves the credit because he was awesome. He had 2 steals as well, along with that block we talked about. Again, 6 assists with the 0 turnovers. That's maybe going to be the most overlooked just because of that block that he had in this game. Really impressive.
Another guy that was impressive that we haven't really talked a ton about. I know we've been gushing over Paolo. And honestly, I don't feel like we've even talked about Paolo enough, so maybe we'll talk a bit more about him in a minute. But Jalen Suggs, 24 points in 39 minutes, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks. Yes, he has, the 4 turnovers, 8 of 18 from the floor, 6 of 12 from behind the arc. Jalen has been struggling like offensively as of late, and I think a lot of that has like turned into maybe a little bit of a drop in his confidence, and we've seen an uptick in the turnovers as well as he's not playing like as like decisively. But I've seen so many people on social media over the course like the last week or so that are like, "Oh, I'm sick of Jalen," blah blah blah. Like forgetting that like Jalen was one of the catalysts like to the win streak. Like Jalen was one of our best players all throughout that. Has been this team's like emotional leader and best defender all season long. And Jalen, I don't think he's healthy. Like to be perfectly honest, like I don't think Jalen is ever healthy. Yeah. But you texted I think last night like Jalen Suggs is like not going to be able to walk by the end of his career.
Yeah,
like the dude always looks like he is playing through so much pain, and I can almost like guarantee that is the case. And for a lot of guys who are hurt, that you know what they're not lacing them up every night. Jalen's still out there basically every night for you.
39
like missed
minutes.
A couple of games a couple of weeks ago, but like he's out there giving you 39 minutes, second night of a back-to-back, giving it his absolute all, making massive plays, hitting massive shots. Like something that annoys me, maybe it's just Magic Twitter, I don't know, but like people are so quick to flip on guys after a couple of bad performances. And I guarantee you, like overwhelming majority of those people were like, oh my God, Jalen Suggs tonight, like blah, blah, blah. Like, it's just crazy. But Jalen's he's been great this year. Like, he really has. Had a rough stretch recently, you know what I mean? But man, like, if that kid just isn't awesome.
He is. I mean, even though we say rough stretch, like his last 5 games, 16 points, 3.5 assists, 50% from or 37% from 3. Obviously tonight helped a lot in that category. But yeah, he's had his struggles. But regardless, there's nothing more electric than Jalen Suggs on this team. That's not going to change for a long time. The energy that he brings it in one play, right? Like one play creates a momentum swing. And tonight, just 6 of 12 from 3. He's gotten into the habit of shooting like double-digit threes, but it's not like, the other night when he goes 3 of 10, 6, 7 games ago, whatever that was. Obviously struggled against Phoenix, against Golden State, 3 for 7, like 43% from 3. I don't know. I think Jalen Suggs wants to be like, he's worked so hard on his 3-point shot, and we know that, and we've seen the improvement, that I think he wants to also just like have that natural uptick in 3-point volume. We'll see where it ends up at, but I mean, I'd like to see him to stay and kind of be consistent at like 5.5 threes a game at the most, maybe 6. But who knows? Tonight, no complaints from me about Jalen Suggs. You couldn't. He was awesome.
Let's talk about Paolo Banchero. I just can't wrap my head around how good this kid is already. Like the 43 points tonight, the career high. But it was just like answering the bell again and again tonight. Like he didn't hit the last shot. But he hit all the other ones.
Yeah.
Like every single one that the Magic needed tonight. Just big play after big play. Like when the jumper is working for him, like sometimes we can get a little bit frustrated because on the season right now, Paolo he's 36% pretty much for the year after starting the like first 10 or 15 games, like 45% from 3, like something crazy. He's very much come back down to earth. And sometimes the criticism of his can be, he's like, if he hits a couple of jumpers at the beginning of the game, he like falls in love with it. But maybe it's not there consistently yet, but I would not be surprised if by year 4 or 5, Paolo is hovering around like 40% from behind the arc, just because like he legitimately can shoot the ball. It's not like one of those things like, if he can just figure out how to shoot the ball. It's like, no, like Paolo really can shoot the ball. It's just like getting the reps and being consistent, I guess. So tonight, what was it from Paolo? Let me go back to the box score here from behind the arc. 6 of 9 from behind the arc for Paolo. Again, every time that the Magic needed a shot, he either hit a 3 or he got to the basket and made a layup, or got to the rim and got fouled, or made a mid-range jumper or a long 2 in somebody's face. Like, I texted this before the game, right? And I was overly optimistic, admittedly. But I said tonight has the opportunity to be like legacy games for Paolo and Franz. All these guys down, second night of a back-to-back. You're on the road against a really good Sacramento team. If they could find a way to will that team with Paolo and Franz, that probably didn't have any business winning tonight if we were healthy with the guys that we went into the game with. If we would have won the game, we would have been like, oh, this is great. Like, we had a ton of guys out, second night of a back-to-back on the road. This is a great win. Franz goes out in the first 5 minutes of the game. And this literally was a legacy performance for Paolo Banchero, result aside. Now, if he hits a couple other shots or Goga Batade doesn't take that 3, who knows what happens? And then we feel even better about this win. It's probably one of the best regular season wins in the history of the Magic at that point. But we've just dreamt for a decade plus since Dwight has been gone. Like, when are we going to get the superstar? And as fantastic as Dwight Howard was, he was the greatest Magic player of all time. He wasn't a guy that you could say, hey, let's give the ball to this guy at the end of the game and he'll just go and make a play, right? Like that's where Hito Turkoglu and Jameer Nelson and Rashard Lewis, those kind of guys came in those
or
situations.
Dwight on a pick and roll, but like you couldn't have it specifically directly in his hands.
Right. Yeah. You couldn't just sidelines out of bounds, inbound it to Dwight, and Dwight's going to go make a play. Like that was not Dwight Howard. So it's legitimately been since 2004, Tracy McGrady, where the Magic have had a superstar level player with this shot making ability that you can just give the ball to at the end of a game and say, hey, big fella, we need you to go and make a play for us. And I just feel like so, I don't know if blessed is the right word, but damn it, I feel blessed to have Paolo Banchero on this team. And it's not going to be this story in the morning, about on ESPN and, Fox and all of these other, talking head shows. But to me, like you look around the NBA tonight, business as usual, except Magic and Kings going double overtime and Paolo Banchero having a 43-point performance in a game which spanning, the fourth quarter and, the first overtime, scoring 18 straight points for the Magic and answering the bell every single time they needed a big play until he doesn't hit that shot at the buzzer. And I swore to you it was going in.
Yeah, it was online. It was there. And like you said, you can't get mad at that missed shot because he hit everything else. The one other thing that I want to add about Paolo Banchero, yes, he has 8 turnovers tonight, but also he has 5 assists. And how many hockey assists do you think Paolo Banchero had tonight? Because I swear to you, every time he touched the ball on the wing, 2 guys, man, this is a big pause. I don't care. 2 guys coming at him. And
at least you didn't say on.
Yeah. It was very. We need to clarify. But he gets the ball on the perimeter, double team, and gosh, I can't get out of this.
It's 2:30 in the morning, y'all.
Anyway, he makes the right play. All right, guys, that's what I'm saying. There was one where double starts coming. I think he drives, kicks it out to Trevelyan Queen, and in my head, I'm like, no, pass it to Jalen on the wing. But the whole time, Paolo knows what he's doing, right? He knows that whoever he passes the ball to is getting closed out on, and the other guy's going to be open in the perimeter. So what does he do? Penetrate out to the corner, Trevelyan Queen, quick swing right over to Jalen Suggs, 3-ball, right? Hockey assist. He had to have had 4+ of those tonight because of how good he was, regardless of the turnovers. He had the ball in his hands so much that just analyzing the double teams when they were happening in real time, just processing the thing that he's talked about over the summer and like how last season, one of the biggest ways he has grown is learning the different looks and what he's supposed to do. It was on full display tonight. And somehow the guy scores 43 points. 18 straight. Do you know how difficult that has to be to score 18 straight when everybody on the other side of the ball knows where the ball's going? They were sending everything at him, and it didn't matter. You're too little. I'm too smart. Like, I'm going to make the right play. I'm going to just pull up, knock down this 3, give it to you any way you want. That's what he was doing. No pause.
He was giving it to them the way I wanted. That's for sure. Nothing to add to that.
No, I got nothing for that.
I just the 8 turnovers tonight, I'm not even mad about it, right? Like just given all the circumstances, like whatever. But I think I don't even want to say the final piece to his game because he's 21 years old and he's going to add pieces to his game over the next several years as he
that aren't even
approaches
necessary.
His prime. But just the one piece to his game right now, if he can get rid of the turnovers as he's driving into the lane and just loses the ball or gets stripped.
Franz does that too, by the way. All the time.
But if he does that, how do you stop him? I literally think it's impossible at that point.
Yeah. You can't. It's very typical, and especially with this wave of 6'10" guys that handle the ball a lot more than usual. Paolo and Franz leading the way for a lot of the 6'10" ball handlers of this generation for sure. But You see it all the
You
time.
say that like there's a lot. I don't think there. I don't think there is a lot. I think we've got like a quarter of them on our roster.
Yeah, it's very fair. But that is the most common turnover for a guy that stature, like dribbling the ball high, whatever it might be, going into the lane. You're getting double teamed. That ball's getting poked out from behind. It's getting ripped from you. They're hitting down on the ball. Like, especially on these mismatches where you do have it where like the defender is smaller, they're just grasping for straws and just hoping they can punch down on the ball, make a play, poke it from behind, whatever. That happens a lot. And it's just part of the growing pains. Eventually, it'll kind of cease, right? But for right now, that's what we live with. But I'll take the 43-point performance from Paolo Banchero tonight any day of the week with the 8 turnovers.
Absolute superstar. A lot of the talk, like amongst Magic fans, I haven't seen it on really a national level yet, but so many people are like, this should cement like his all-star bid. Now at this point in the season, I'm looking at NBA.com. I don't know if this is updated exactly. He's at 21.8 points per game. I feel like that's where he was at coming into this game. And after a 43-point performance in game, what is this, game 33, he should be around, I would guess, like 23 now. So I don't know if NBA.com just not updated quite yet. No, they've got him at
34. 34 is where he should be.
19. Yeah, so they've only got 33 games on here.
Right.
Paolo hasn't missed a game, has he? No, we're 19 and 15. So yeah, they just did Paolo miss a game?
Ooh, it's a great question.
I don't think he missed a game.
I don't think he did.
I could be wrong.
Nah.
I'm going to pull this up right now. I'm going to ESPN because sometimes ESPN is updated a little bit sooner. So now he is at 22.8 points per game on the year. So just at 23, 7 rebounds, 4.2 assists, 45% from. Oh, that's just on the road. Nope. Okay, right. Nope. They haven't updated it either.
Kevin says no, he has not missed a game.
Kevin says he hasn't missed a game. So ESPN, NBA.com, not updated just yet.
He'll be over 22.
He'll be over 22 points a game. I mean, the Magic are at this point. Where are we in the Eastern Conference standings after tonight? We're 6th. It's like a 3-way tie with Orlando, Cleveland, and New York, all at 19 and 15. Indiana's at 5 now at 19 and 14. Yeah. So Miami's right above them at 20 and 14. Like this 4 through 6, 7, 8 in the Eastern Conference right now is super tight. Absolutely should be an all-star, like all-time performance. Like I'll never forget the performance of Paolo Banchero tonight. One thing I am a little bit nervous about is like hurts the ankle, goes back, gets it taped up, comes back, plays like 16 straight minutes. After that, what is that going to look like as they fly to Denver? And are we going to have Paolo on Friday against the Nuggets? Probably won't have Franz. Doesn't sound like we're going to have Wendell Carter Jr. Maybe Cole Anthony is back. Maybe Joe Ingles is back.
Yeah,
Maybe Jonathan Isaac is back.
I do crazy things for Joe Ingles right now to play.
Yeah.
Need him in that bench unit so badly, especially with these injuries. But man, I would.
Yeah, the Max Strus play where he dove for the ball, like shoulder right into Joe Ingles' ankle, like now just looks even more ridiculous. Just like a really, really dangerous play. And it's just like, it's crazy when guys miss 10 games with sprained ankles when we have like Jalen Suggs who misses like 30 seconds and then, Franz who almost, seems to come back from those things pretty quickly.
Yeah, some of those guys are 2 years old and the other ones are 60. So,
I mean, yeah, you have a point there.
The body's been beat up for old Joe for sure. But, I hope Joe can give it a go on Friday. Listen, I just want to win. And Denver
you're asking for an awful lot there.
They're on TNT tomorrow night or tonight, I guess, as we're recording this against the Warriors.
So it'll be the second night of a back-to-back for Denver.
It will. 9
I'm
p.m.
not totally
tip.
mad at that, but yeah, I don't like our chances Friday.
I don't either, but I'm hoping for health, and we'll see.
All right, what do you say we wrap this up as we're creeping towards 3 a.m. now?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, folks, don't forget, next Tuesday, the 9th, when the Magic take on the Minnesota Timberwolves at home, we'll be recording a new edition of the Sixth Fan Show outside of Kia after that game. And our next watch party next Friday, the 12th, when the Magic take on the Miami Heat, will be at Hagen O'Reilly's at Winter Garden. Make sure you guys come out to that. Going to be a lot of fun. That is going to do it for this one. I would love to be in bed by 4 a.m., but we will see. For Luke Sylvia, this has been Jonathan Osborne. You all have been listening to The Sixth Man Show, and we will catch you guys next time. See ya.
Thanks for listening to The Sixth Man Show. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes and Spotify to get new episodes downloaded directly to your phone. If you enjoyed the show, please take a minute to give us a 5-star rating and a review. It helps out the show a lot. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Sixth Man Show. We'll catch you guys next time. Go Magic!